Dictator DeSantis. This is an amazing story. Let me just share this with you very quickly, and then I'll pick up your phone calls. Florida lawmakers, it's incredible what DeSantis and the Republicans in Florida just did with the legislative session that just wrapped up. The legislators have gone home with their paychecks, and they passed restrictions on abortion. They passed further restrictions on immigration. They passed a law against teaching about race in public schools. They passed a law against teaching about sexual orientation in public schools. They passed a law against teaching about gender identity in public schools. They passed a law creating Ron DeSantis' own private election fraud police force. They passed a water bill that the sugar industry wanted, but was opposed by the Everglades advocates. They did a lot of just gross, terrible stuff. But Ron DeSantis is threatening to call them back. We got more gross, terrible stuff we want you guys to do. What's he going to call them back for? Well, Representative Val Demings, a black Democrat from Florida, is, there's talk about maybe running for the Senate against Rick Scott. There's talking about maybe having her run against Ron DeSantis himself. We can't have that. Val Demings is, a reasonable Democrat, and she used to be a police chief. She's black, by the way. She's got, she's got these great credentials. I say but because, from the point of view of Republicans in Florida. Also, black Representative Al Lawson. What DeSantis wants to do, he wants to call the legislature into session to redraw the maps in Florida so that Al Lawson's district and Val Demings' districts no longer exist, or at least no longer exists as districts that will elect a Democrat or a black Democrat. And, there's all this speculation. NBC News reports dragging legislators back to Tallahassee, which would be the ultimate power play for DeSantis, is on brand for a governor who became a top 2024 Republican presidential contender, second only to Trump, for his willingness to fight anyone who hints at crossing him. And they go on to say, this is DeSantis' MO. What he cares about deeply, and if you get in the way, he's going to roll through you. Well, I have to say, on the one hand, I actually admire people who act on their own beliefs. And if DeSantis' belief is that, he needs to have this kind of power to impose his notion of fascism on Florida and ultimately the United States. As much as I disagree with what he's doing and dislike it and think it's anti-American and horrible and bad for our country, I have to acknowledge that this is what leadership is pursuing relentlessly what you believe in. And I'd like to see a little more of it from our Democrats. Thank you very much.